everyone, my name is Emily Jamieson and I get to be roomies with Krista and Rachel. Also, they are roomies with my 4 little boys and my sweet husband. But I've had the privilege of writing the Undivided Study for you guys. It has been a privilege and a joy, and I cannot wait to dig in together with you. Division. It is all around us. It is in our world, in our communities, in our families, and it's in ourselves. Competition and comparison, it's the thumbprint of the enemy, and it's the antithesis of God's purpose for our lives. You may sense the discomfort of division. You may even hate it. But do you know how to dissolve the boundaries that divide us? Do you know how to eradicate the lies that separate us and divide our communities and even place us at odds with ourselves? God wants us to live free in our unique identities, and yet He wants us to be unified as a community of believers. In the deepest parts of us, we crave connection. We want to be unified, we want to be free and to be able to celebrate who God has made us to be. And we also want to celebrate one another and how God has made each other to be without that haunting feeling that you just don't measure up. In Ephesians 1:10, it talks about how Jesus came to set us free. Jesus came to bind us together with Himself. And Jesus came to eliminate the division that you feel even within yourself. Have you ever felt that sense that there's one part of you that's like, oh my gosh, I'm fantastic, and that other part of you that feels like an extreme failure? We have division within us, and Jesus came to even dissolve that division so that we can be unified within who we are and who He's created us to be. The letter that Paul writes to the church in Ephesus, and the church being the gathering of believers, the people that are there, that have been gathered, that have believed in the message of Jesus, he talks in that letter about how the gospel has come, Jesus has come, that there's freedom. And he talks about how when we've encountered the gospel, that is a person, that's Jesus, that we're going to actually live differently. We're going to live lives that are unified. We're going to live lives together with others that are marked by love and by compassion, by empathy, and by freedom. When you and I have had a change of heart because of a real encounter with the living God, we're going to live differently. This letter to the church in Ephesus, to the Ephesians, it's an invitation for you and I to encounter the gospel. And like I said before, the gospel is not a set of beliefs. It's not rules. It's not behavior modification. The gospel, the good news, it's a person. And His name is Jesus. The scriptures we read are a window through which to hear His voice, an access point for us to encounter Him, to know Him, to have a real, living, active relationship with the living God who came, who lived, who died, who resurrected, and now lives in the heavenly realms. I cannot even pretend to explain what that means. I don't fully understand it. It really is a mystery. But God in His glory wants to reveal that to us and help us to have a relationship with Him. As we unpack Ephesians together in the coming weeks, I am so excited to dive in with you. I want you to take a posture of curiosity. I want you to ask a million questions. God can handle your questions. I want us to dive in together and wrestle, and be able to receive what God wants to give us. Like I said, be curious. Don't just try and gather a whole bunch of information so you know what to say when the next person or student or professor asks you why you believe what you believe. Because again, we're not going to give people a list of information. We're not going to give them a Facebook page of background information on Jesus. If you really want to tell people why you believe, what you're going to give them is a person. You're going to give them a real, living description of an interaction that you have had with the living God. I want us to not just have information that we store in our heads, but real encounters that have actually transformed our hearts. The knowledge that you gain as we do this study is going to give you fodder for great conversation and questions and real encounters with the living God. Our hope is to have our undivided attention on the person of Jesus, so that we as a body of believers, as sisters, can be undivided in our pursuit of one another, undivided in who we are as individuals, and undivided as the church, the bride of Christ. You are beautiful. I'm excited to dive in with you. Let's get going.